Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Jimers Rants. We're still looking for a different name for Jimers Rants. I'm thinking of a number of different names, but I guess this is the beginning of season two. Last year, we started the podcast. We got a total of 6 episodes in. We got a number of dedicated fans who were asking me when I was going to go ahead and come back in here and do another podcast. This past year, 2024, was a great year for me. I got to accomplish attaining my associate's degree. I'm still here at the New Mexico State University Grants campus, but I'm using the online to pursue my bachelor's degree in counseling and in community psychology. But I'm glad to be back. For today's episode, I wanted to touch back upon the last episode from last year that we did. Unfortunately, the audio was kind of muffled. The microphones that I was using, I don't think I had the setting high enough. So I hope this time it comes out a little better, but we'll see. Last episode we were talking about spirituality. Oh, and I'm sorry, I got my favorite professor here once again, Miss Katie O'Connor, who teaches the counseling and community psychology program here as well at the
as well as education.
Grants campus. Yeah, and all the various other great things that she does. But yeah, she's here, and I'm happy that she's able to join me once again. So like I was saying before, we were talking about spirituality, and I was able to dig up a paper that I had written in for one of my other classes, talking about why spirituality plays such an important role in a recovery program. A lot of times when people go into AA, when they go into NA, when they go into my favorite program, the Wellbrighty program, the first things that people always say is, one, make sure you go to meetings. Two, get yourself a sponsor. And then three, you got to start, practicing. You got to find your higher power is how they state it. And, for me, what that means to me is, and what I wrote on this paper is that spirituality plays a crucial role in recovery from substance abuse and addiction because it provides a foundation for healing, resilience, and transformation. Addiction is not just a physical dependency, it deeply affects a person's emotional, psychological, and spiritual well being. Recovery requires more than just abstinence from substances, it involves rebuilding one's life, identity, and sense of purpose. Spirituality offers a pathway to achieve this by fostering in a connection to something greater than oneself, whether it be a higher power, nature, humanity, or an inner sense of peace. The nature of addiction and spiritual emptiness that accompanies it often stems from a deep sense of emptiness, pain, or disconnection. Many individuals struggle in with substance abuse, often report feeling a sense of isolation from others, a sense of isolation from society. Along with this comes a feeling of hopelessness and a lack of meaning in their lives. The substances that they use become a way to numb emotional pains, escape from reality, or fill spiritual voids. However, addiction only deepens these problems and leads into cycles of guilt, shame, and despair. Spirituality addresses this void by offering a sense of meaning, belonging, and hope. It is a means to help individuals reconnect with their values and emotions and a greater sense of purpose in their lives. Whether through faith, mindfulness, or personal reflection, spirituality provides tools to heal the inner wounds that feed our addictions. Surrender and acceptance and recovery are one of the most well known means to surrender and acceptance are one of the most well-known means to find recovery in substance abuse and addiction. Alcoholics Anonymous and other 12-step programs emphasize this importance of spirituality. The first three steps in both Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and Wellbrighty talk about, involve surrendering to a higher power. The first step is admitting powerlessness over our addiction and seeking guidance beyond oneself. This process is transformative because addiction thrives on control, and people often believe that they can manage their substance use even when it destroys their lives. By embracing surrender and acceptance, spirituality helps individuals let go of denial and seek the support they need to heal. This surrender does not necessarily mean that we adopt specific religious beliefs, but rather recognizing that we cannot recover alone. It encourages humility, openness, and the willingness to change. These three virtues are critical for lasting sobriety. Inner peace and emotional healing in spirituality helps individuals cultivate inner peace, which is essential for overcoming addiction. Many people often turn to substances to cope with stress or to calm trauma or unresolved emotions. But through spiritual practices like meditation, prayer, gratitude, and mindfulness, individuals can learn healthier ways to manage their emotions. These practices promote self awareness, patience, and emotional stability, reducing the likelihood of a relapse. Forgiveness is another spiritual principle in recovery. Many individuals struggling with addiction carry a deep guilt of shame over past actions. Spirituality teaches self compassion and forgiveness, allowing individuals to release the burden of their past and move forward with hope. A sense of purpose and a sense of meaning is one of the are two of the key aspects of building a successful recovery program for oneself. Often, addiction strips individuals of their goals, relationships, and sense of direction. But spirituality helps restore these meanings by encouraging individuals to reflect on their values, strengths, and passion. Whether through service, faith, creative expression, or personal growth, spirituality offers a framework for rediscovering this purpose in one's life. Helping others is another central theme in many recovery programs. In many spiritual traditions and recovery programs, service is often encouraged when we reach that 12th step, Building a supportive community, spirituality often involves being part of a community, whether through support of like minded individuals or a religious group or a recovery fellowship. We do this with a mindfulness that encourages us to practice what we learn in these programs. Spirituality is a powerful tool in addiction recovery because it addresses the deeper emotional existential issues that contribute to substance abuse by fostering connection, surrender, inner peace, purpose, community. Spirituality helps individuals heal holistically. While recovery is a personal journey, integrating spiritual principles within one's life can play a big part in establishing a successful recovery program. And that was part of a paper that I wrote on why spirituality to me is a big part of a recovery program.
Well written, I might add. Very well written, James. I think you hit on all the important points. Um, and one of the things I like to do is sort of unpack um, what some of the things that you've just said.
Yeah.
And let's kind of examine what happens in an addiction. What happens when you take that first drink or you take your first drugs, whatever it might be. Um, Sometimes, and this is what I've encountered upon my path and working in addictions, is that a lot of times people get involved because it helps them to be more social, or it helps them to escape a memory or a trauma. Sometimes it helps them forget those kinds of things. And so when I really looked at addictions and I worked with people in addictions, what I found is they had a profound need to escape themselves, to escape their body, escape their circumstances. They wanted to escape their lives to some degree. And it was all about escaping. And so in my work with those people, it has been about how to get them to be grounded, centered, and balanced within their own bodies, within their own lives, to become more mindful about what they're doing, when they're doing it, every minute of the day. Um, and so I think that the concept of groundedness or being in the body, being focused, not not in the addiction or the feelings of the intoxication, but dealing with the actual feelings and emotions that are in the body. Does that any of that make sense to you, James?
It makes a lot. It makes a lot of sense, you know. And addiction, when you're talking, it popped into my mind that it comes in many forms. It's not necessarily substance abuse. We can have addiction to food, we can have addiction to gambling, but in the end, I think it all boils down to is one individual chasing a certain feeling that they get from indulging in those types of behaviors, whether it's using certain substances to alter your mind state, or whether it's going gambling in the hopes that, you know, because you get this like this thrill, this rush, you know, those endorphins within your brain that you want more of. And unfortunately, I think that's where some of us are able to moderate and you know, be responsible, but there's a big part of the population, I think, that don't have that on off or slow down switch, as I was talking about
Right.
earlier, you know.
Um, Essentially, the human body, the human brain is wired to move away from pain and into pleasure. So we're always motivated to find that, to escape the pain, move toward the pleasure, however that may be, whatever that may be. And once you're in that addiction, it's you focus on just that. That's your focus, and the other things kind of go by the wayside. Like you don't pay attention to your health, you don't pay attention to what you're eating, you're not taking care of yourself, you're not exercising, you're not getting involved in relationships or school or anything that gives you a kind of a livelihood upon the earth, and something to work toward. You forget about your goals. All of those things are forgotten. But when you start coming back to the body, uh, stopping the toxins that are coming into your body, getting clean, eating clean, exercising, taking care of yourself, dealing with your emotions and learning how to cope with your emotions is very, very important. In today's society, we're not really given a lot of tools to do that with.
Mhm.
For example, people may have a trauma, but on some level, maybe they don't have anyone they can talk to about the trauma, or or they're they're kind of caught up in the emotions of the trauma, and that energy is replaying and replaying and replaying, and so it's very hard for them to escape that trauma. And one way to do it, of course, is through talking with a counselor,
Mhm.
talking with a therapist, talking to somebody that understands what's happening when you're reliving or replaying a trauma. Um, and so, I would encourage anybody that's had any kind of trauma that's led to an addiction to think about getting somebody that you can talk to, somebody that you can trust, and somebody that is a certified counselor or therapist. They really can help, and it's sometimes you might meet them and think, oh, they don't know me, they don't know my issues, they don't know my story, and yet that's what counseling and therapy generally is about: is going back over the story, looking at decisions you've made when you maybe were under the influence, which, once you're under the influence, you really give up. You give up your freedom. You give up your choice of what happens to you, to your body, what happens to your life. And so being able to come back to your body, come back to your emotions, inhabit them, feel them, let them out however you need to let them out, hopefully not harming anyone else in the process, will be very beneficial. It will help. It will heal. But it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a little bit of time. And so that's one of the things I wanted to discuss is how do we how do we move beyond the addiction and into that level of health.
Mhm.
Now, James, you're a living proof that this can happen. What are some of your ideas or feelings about this?
And yeah, that's one of the things that I stress upon people when I'm giving them not advice, but I'm telling them my story of my life is that I tell them this is what happened to me and this is how it worked for me. And I know that on our list here, I was looking at it and the very top of the list for rules of recovery, it says change your life. And then it says be completely honest, ask for help, practice self-care, and don't bend the rules. um, when I was still stuck in my addiction, I had this ability to make things much more harder and much more complicated than they had to be, thinking that if I didn't follow these sets of rigid rules to perfection, then I wasn't going to recover, and then the whole mindset would come into my mind like, well, then what's the point, because my life is no longer going to be full of fun or happiness, and because I wasn't ready to let go of that. But it's crazy because as I've gotten older, I've been able to really take the time, sit down, and analyze these things in my life that um, bring me happiness. And for me, what that means was number one, changing my life. I went into those meetings of recovery, those 12-step meetings, with an open mind and a willingness to finally want to get what it was that I was working for so long to attain. And the more I went, at first, in my life, it was daunting. I was full of doubt. I was full of just, I was pessimistic in my mindset in thinking that, this ain't gonna work. I don't know why I'm doing it. I'm just going through the motions. It's only been 2 days of sobriety, and this is gonna be what the rest of my life is what I used to tell myself. But as time continued to go on, I started realizing that these things were actually making a big difference in my life, and I didn't realize it. In the Narcotics Anonymous, in our opening meetings to the meetings that we host, it says the therapeutic value of one addict helping another addict is without parallel, and that made so much. It makes so much sense to me now because that's exactly what those meetings are. While they're not hosted by licensed um,
Therapist.
yes, therapists, counselors, they are a group therapy session where you can let go of so many of these things in an environment where you can trust others to what you hear here, what you say here, it stays here, and the more I look back, and that's one of the things I always stress to all my friends now is that we come to these meetings to let this off, to let that burden off and to kind of it's that pressure valve that releases all that steam that's building up within us, and it feels much better to be able to do that. And I've come, as I said before, to the point where I'm not afraid to ask for help anymore. I'm not afraid to say I can't do this alone. I need you guys' help, and you guys are helping me, and so I've come this far not on my own will or not just by myself, but as I stated before, first by finding that fellowship of like-minded individuals who've helped me come along this far, and by reestablishing my sense of what my higher power is to me and what my sense of spirituality is to me.
That's incredibly important because when you say higher power, that can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people and different religions, different spiritual practices, and in the realm of spirituality, that it just is one of those terms. But on the other hand, I think that the great thing about the world is that we have all these different religions and spiritual practices and cultures and different people that approach life in different ways. And one of the most important things is figuring out what is your higher power.
Hmm.
Is it your higher mind? Is it your heart? Is it your emotions? Is it something outside of you like God or spirit? Um, it's going to be different for everyone because everyone is different.
Yeah.
And what matters to you, what's meaningful for you, is for you to discover.
Yes. And that's kind of like my philosophy is a reflection of what my spirituality is. In one of the classes, it asks, "What does philosophy mean to you?" And the textbook definition is doing those things in our life that is going to bring us happiness. It's not trying to live up to another person's expectations to please them, but it's finding what brings that happiness to you and making that decision to live your life by these set of values and things that are going to be bringing you happiness. But unfortunately, we have to realize that sometimes some of these things that we do in life, such as indulging in alcohol and experimenting or playing around with drugs, we might think that's bringing us happiness, but really it's bringing in a whole lot of chaos into our lives, because those things are not good for us.
Right. Well, again, all of those things take us outside of ourselves. They take us to different. Um, they basically help us to escape.
Yeah.
When in reality, our superpowers lie in our ability to express our emotions. First, to recognize our emotions, to understand them, to work with them, and then to honor them. And also, determining what is your spiritual path,
Mhm.
or whether you have one or not. All of those things are really important because it brings you back to who am I?
Yep.
Why am I here? What is my purpose on the earth? And these questions are of vital importance. Um, what happens sometimes when people get involved in addictions, and again, it's for different reasons, but in that process, sometimes they encounter a sense of failure, low self esteem, a sense of not being able to control their lives. Uh, and what'll happen is you'll recognize that your substance is controlling you more than you control your life.
Hmm.
So when you decide or you make the choice to get on the healthy path, you're basically saying, I'm taking back my life. I'm taking back my spirit. I'm taking back my essence. I'm not letting anything else dictate to me what I'm going to do in my day, whether I'm going to drink or whether I'm going to smoke or whether I'm going to take something. I'm not bound by those rules.
Hmm.
I'm going to do what I need to do for my life and my health. And gosh, let me figure out, who am I? Why am I here? Um, and let's look at the self esteem issue, because everybody's here for a reason, everybody's here for a purpose, and only you know what that is.
Yep. And I like that you brought that up about the emotions because, as I've worked my program, I've realized that I've become more in touch and in tune with my emotions. I mean, unfortunately, our society has kind of imposed upon the male mind that we're supposed to be nothing but masculine. We can't show any emotions, we can't cry. And the more we fight those feelings and try to suppress them and hold them back, the more that they're going to be suppressed, but without us knowing it, they're going to bring all kinds of like what's the conflict, internal conflicts within ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's why it makes me happy nowadays that I'm able to voice, how I'm feeling. Like to you, for example, I can tell you honestly, like, I was feeling frustrated the other day and then, but I had to sit down and realize, well, what it was that was causing these kind of feelings within me. Was it justified? Was it because, was it this? Was it that? And having that ability to really have that, um, self awareness to analyze these feelings allows me to understand that I can't let certain things turn into mountains, from molehills. And I got to realize that, that's just life. Sometimes there are certain things in our lives that we're completely out of control of, but we can do our best to just recognize it right away and control it rather than allowing it to lead us back into these old habits that the old me would have instantly turned to without realizing it, because that's how it was for me as a younger man, was that these things without me realizing it would make me mad. And I would try to like brush it off, but down the line, without me realizing it, that was my excuse, or that was my impetus. Is that the right word?
Mm-hmm.
Impetus for going back to the alcohol. And but now, like I said, that's part of the program. And I love that, the steps, the traditions that we read at the beginning of each meeting is just more or less how we should kind of I guess live our lives by that checklist. Um, the number one in the Wellbrighty traditions right here in front of me says that our personal recovery depends on the knowledge of interconnectedness. The honor of one is the honor of all. The hurt of one is the hurt of all, and we are related to all things. And what that interconnectedness means is that, whether we realize it or not, whatever we do, whatever we see, how we act, and how we, present ourselves, it's all gonna, we're all relate, we're all connected to it in one way or another. It's very hard for me to explain, but I guess it's kind of like that pendulum swing that we're talking about. What we put out into the world and that karma, it's gonna come back to us.
Exactly. That's the whole concept of karma, is that what we put out comes back to us. Now, that doesn't happen instantaneously. You might, say you do something, maybe you harm somebody or you hurt somebody, and then you go about your regular everyday life, and then 3 years later, all of a sudden something happens that's really in your life, that's really meaningful, and you're like, why is this happening now? Well, that's karma. It comes back to you eventually. And so if you're shoving people out of the way to get to where you want to be, and you're discounting people's emotions or feelings, if you're hurting or harming people, if you're yelling at people, if you're judging, all of these things will come back to you. And guess what? It does happen. It does happen to you eventually. You don't know when or where. It kind of sneaks up on you and gets you, and you're like, oh, there we go. Okay. So part of it is looking at, what am I doing? What am I putting out into the universe? And when you're intoxicated, you don't know. Sometimes you don't know how you're acting, you don't know what you're saying,
Yeah, or you don't care.
or you don't care. You don't know who you hurt or who you harm in the path. And so all of that eventually does come back around, and it's really important to realize, okay, what do I want? What do I want? Do I want to continue this path and continue stumbling through life and screwing up my relationships, or screwing up my job or my life? What do I want? And ask yourself this question. And then when you're asking the questions, ask yourself, what do I love? What do I love to do? Who do I love to be with? What do I want to spend my time doing? And then that is your passion. That's your passion in life. And you were given that passion for a reason. You have a passion. And that passion is because you're supposed to do something with that passion.
Mm-hmm.
That's how special you are. I've told James before, we're so unique. Every single human being has completely different fingerprints. And there's how many millions of people upon the earth? How many? And yet we're all distinguishable by our fingerprints. And we're distinguishable by our energetic imprint. We're distinguishable in how we are packaged when we come to earth, whether we're male or female or other, whether we have creativity or we don't have creativity, whether we're good with math or we're not.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things add up to make you who you are. And so when you embark upon this path, ask these questions. Who am I? What do I want? What am I
Mhm.
here for? What am I good at? What am I passionate about? And then start getting help. Reach out, talk to people, and it's okay to face the fact that you might have low self esteem, or maybe you've had traumas in your life, or maybe you've done some bad things. Maybe it's time to look at those and make up for those in the way that you can, in any way that you can,
Yeah, it's those making up those amends,
those amends.
whether it's to another human being, whether it's to yourself, but we have to make those amends in order to be able to stop letting those past mistakes hold us back, and just understand and make that realization for ourselves that today is today, tomorrow is tomorrow, but the past is we can't change it.
Right.
And the more we dwell on past mistakes, the more it's going to hold us back. And that's another big part of my recovery that I've come to realize is that a lot of these things that I did in the past, I can't change them, but I can do my best to make tomorrow a positive future for myself by my actions today. So,
Right. And what we do with ourselves, how we heal our lives and ourselves, will impact the person next to us. For example, when James comes in with a smile on his face, it's a good day. I'm happy. I'm happy he's smiling. When I talk to somebody else that's having a good day, or doing something important in life, this is that interconnectedness that
yep,
we have. Um, whether we know it or not, our energy affects other people.
yep,
That's why you can walk into a room where there's been a fight and be like, "Oh, something's going on here." You can test the climate of the room by walking in and saying, "Oh, what does it feel like?" Well, if it feels bad, you know something's going on. But if everybody's happy, if the feeling is light, it's great. And we feel it and we take on that energy. Um I was telling another one of my students that sometimes as we go through life, um, and we have traumas happen to us, or maybe we get involved in things we shouldn't have, or we get involved with people we shouldn't have, each time it's like a brick gets put on our back,
yeah,
and we get brick after brick after brick. And then we feel heavier and heavier, and we're loaded down emotionally and energetically till the point where some of us can barely move. And so, if we start on the path of healing, whether it's with counseling or coming to a meeting or reaching out to somebody who's on the same path, and saying, "Oh, I can't deal with this anymore." The more you do that, each time you begin to deal with your issues and your life and help other people do the same, a brick is lifted off your back.
hmm,
And you become lighter and brighter and healthier and happier every single day. And what else could you ask for in life, really?
yeah, definitely. And that's another thing, and a lot of times it's kind of it's crazy because I still get this sense when I'm telling my story to certain individuals that they think that I'm just putting them on, or that like, oh man, you're just so full of crap. It sounds like BS what you're saying and all this, but it's not. It's definitely not. Because what I'm doing is I'm realizing that I'm vibing at a whole higher level these days. My mindset is no longer pessimistic. I have this optimistic outlook of what tomorrow is going to be able to bring to me. And like Miss O'Connor said, Nate, the universe is going to send those like-minded individuals to you. Like-minded individuals, we attract each other, and that's what I've come to realize. It makes me so happy that, even though I still face these struggles that come into my life nowadays, it's no longer unnecessary struggles that I bring upon myself, but it goes back to that vibing at a higher level. It's
Right.
being able to keep that positive mindset for myself. And I realized that it's just crazy. It's a whole different it's a whole different view of life from what I had, 5 years ago
Yeah.
compared to what it is now.
Dr. Joe Dispenza calls it the quantum field.
Yep.
It's your energetic field that is around you. And we draw things into our quantum field, and we send things out of our quantum field as well. And when you find, you find those like-minded people that you start talking to, that quantum field seems to get bigger and bigger. And not only does it attract people of the same mindset, but it attracts other things as well.
Yeah.
This is what they talk about with the law of abundance and the law of attraction. They talk about manifesting wealth and prosperity and happiness and love. Well, you have to be that. You have to be love. You have to be abundance. You have to be joy. You have to be, um, you in your highest and best form. And you have to convey that to other people. And when they're around you and you're happy and you're vibing with your universe, like James says, other people feel that. They sense that. They want to be around you.
It's cool because like I mean I it's so hard for me to talk about it because there's so many things that I want to be able to, and my mind's just jumping around right now, but it's that's all it is. It's just being able to find for yourself that positive lifestyle and start doing your best to live it, and it's just
You become an alchemist. You begin to take those dark traumas or those painful events. You begin to take those parts of yourself that you want to hide from the world, and you drag them out into the sunlight, and
oh
you
yeah,
love them. You
yep,
love your darkness. You love your pain. You love your conflict. You love it. And it's not an easy thing to do, but you do it anyway, and you keep working on it every single day. And when you do that, you transmute that energy into something lighter and brighter and more beautiful. And when you do that, you can also reach out to other people, and they're going to see that. They see that about you.
yeah, and you know in the early phases or the early part of my recovery, you know, that healing was for myself, and like I said earlier, it was full of doubt, it was full of what tomorrow was going to hold, like uncertainty. And as time went on, like I said, things just started becoming brighter and brighter because, you know, I wasn't giving up, I wasn't losing my sense of direction of what it is that I wanted to do and accomplish. And now, you know, entering into this third year of sobriety, things are moving in a good way for me and for my group back home. We're trying to grow within our community something of a vision that we can have for our people, for our children, for those out there that need somewhere to go and someplace. And right now, you know, that's where I'm working. And when I talk about these things, um, it reminds me of a man who used to go to recovery meetings up in Portland, Oregon, when I was still up in the area. And I remember in one of the meetings, well, most of the meetings, whenever he would get up and share, he would always say, "My cup overfloweth, my cup overfloweth." And I didn't really understand what that meant at the time, but now, you know, I know exactly what that means because my cup is overflowing with all these good things that I have, this happiness, this sense of well being. And I have that knowledge to be able to show others, you know, what it's going to take to get there. And I have this ability to make it happen because I'm of the right mind and I have this sense of purpose and I have other individuals who want to help me and work with me accomplish these things. And that feels great because now I know that, you know, it's going to take effort on my part, on our part to accomplish these things. And so I'm slowly chipping away at doing that right now. And that's kind of like what I'm working at these days.
Right. Nothing happens without work, without getting in there and working hard. But when you're doing that work, it brings a sense of peace and joy to you because you know you're on your path. You're doing the work
Yeah.
that you were meant to do. And it feels good. Um, what I notice sometimes is a lot of times people don't want to. Oh, I have to go to work. Oh, I don't
Yeah.
like work. Oh, I just don't want to go. It's boring or hard or whatever. But the truth of the matter is work can be so rewarding. it can be, it can really give you a sense of satisfaction in your life and a sense of peace and, again, well-being. You know where you are, you know what you're doing your purpose, whatever that is. um, and it feels great. It feels better than sitting home watching movies all day, playing video games, or just doing nothing. If you really want to progress in your life, you've got to decide who you are, what you want to do, what your path is, what your goals are, and get busy. Get busy doing it. It's not going to just come to you. Now, when they talk about the power of manifestation, everyone thinks, "Oh, I can just wish it and it'll come to me." Universe and unicorns and rainbows and everything happy. That's not necessarily true, because if you really delve into the law of attraction and manifestation, what they talk about is, yes, you can have an idea of something you want to do, but you have to back it up with an action.
Yep.
You have to, like if James wants to become a counselor, he's got to go to school. So here he is backing up his wishes with his action.
And that's what I realize now. A lot of times as a child, that was my mindset, was that we pray for these good things and they're just going to happen to us and not like that. But like you said, we see these visions in our mind, and, Creator shows us the steps that we're going to have to take in order to accomplish them. And the more we stay focused on them, they become a reality. But it takes effort. Everything in this world worth doing takes a little bit of work to accomplish it. And right now, it's a little tedious because I feel overwhelmed some days on where I'm gonna start and how I'm gonna start doing it. But I know that I'm gonna start chipping away at it, and it's gonna become a reality. And I'm seeing it already beginning to take shape of what I want it to become.
Right.
This past weekend, we got to go up, or actually on Friday,
January 30th,
January 30th, we got to go up to the roundhouse,
31st.
to the rotunda. Is that what it's called? The rotunda?
Yeah, I think so. They call it the roundhouse.
The roundhouse. And we were up there for Aggie Day, and I got to take a brochure of one of the presentations that I got to take down to main campus last year about the Wild Variety program and about how it ties into my education that I'm pursuing. But one of the things that I said when I went up was that I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to go find me some senators or people of power to talk to and show them what I'm doing within my community, and make whatever steps I can do, or do whatever I can do to get something going. And, it feels good because I was able to actually meet with two senators, Angel Charlie and Senator Martin Hickey. And Senator Martin Hickey is big on these social. He's working towards finding funding for social programs in the state of New Mexico. Things like the Wild Variety program, things like community centers for places out where, like Acoma Pueblo, where I live, everywhere. That's what he's really pushing for. And I can't remember the number. They were calling it bills 1, 2, and 3. But so I'm confident, and a lot of people were telling me that they were going to get passed, and that's going to be like something in the billions of dollars that is going to get funneled down to us to start these kind of programs that we all want for our community and our people.
Right.
And another thing that we got to do while we were up there was actually go into the offices and learn about the capital outlay and how you go about start securing your self funding. So it was a learning process, but that was something that was I was happy to go up there and be given that opportunity by the school here. And it
Right.
kind of just goes to show how far along I've come. I never would have imagined that I'd be up there talking to senators or trying to get these kind of things done, but
Right. Yeah, and and what are the chances of finding a legislator that is there in their office at the right time when you happen to walk by during a time when there's all these events going on in the building?
uh
And James went right to them. They they were right there, and they were available to talk with him. And if he wasn't on the right path, I don't think that would have happened. Um, Sometimes the right people are put there on your path for a reason. But James is coming from a real heart space of wanting to create something that will help the people of Acoma, help the people of Grants, and then the surrounding areas. This is another reason we're going to offer a Wellbriety meeting coming up here in uh, February 21st.
Yeah. That
It'll
this is the old flyer from when we were actually hosting it out on the Acoma Pueblo. But another great thing that's happened is that we're going to be able to utilize one of the classrooms here at the school,
right,
and
right.
we're going to be hosting our meetings. It's going to be back on Zoom again.
So it'll be on Zoom and in person for anybody who wants to come. If you are interested in talking about any of these spiritual principles or ideas or concepts, if you're interested in becoming clean and sober, if you're looking for sobriety to begin that, to walk on that path, reach out, come see us. We're going to have a meeting, I think, next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday is what we're shooting for, but I'll
It
go
may
ahead and start
maybe another week,
advertising.
maybe the week behind that.
Yeah.
But what we can do is when we're going to get on, we're going to do another podcast, and we'll definitely let you know. If you're interested, contact me, Kathleen O'Connor, at NMSU. That's 505-287-6693, and give us a call and ask us when the Wellbriety meeting is going to happen. They're not long. They're what, an hour,
They're
hour
about
and a
an
half.
hour and a half, but every individual gets to speak if they want to, and we really don't have like a cutoff time. That's one of the things that I try to do is give everyone that opportunity to share if they want to share within the meeting. So
And hopefully in those meetings we can give you some tools and ideas that'll help you um, get on the path and become mindful, become aware, mindful, and some tips that'll help you bring your mind back to your body, bring yourself back to your body when you're feeling the urge to drink or to use in any way. But again, we're here as friends to help you out, to be there if you need someone to talk to.
yeah, it was amazing because, like I said, today I'm kind of like, my mind's all over the place. So if it seems like I'm just like trying to jump around in all places, it's because I am. But I have the introduction to what the Wellbriety program is all about, and I'll be happy to read it right now. It says, the Red Road to Wellbriety is an invitation to take the Red Road journey. The term Wellbriety is an affirmation that recovery is more than the removal of alcohol and other drugs from an otherwise unchanged life. Wellbriety is a larger change in personal identities and values and a visible change in one's relationship with others. It is about physical, emotional, spiritual, and relational health. Wellbriety is founded on the recognition that we cannot bring one part of our lives under control while other parts are still out of control. It is the beginning of a quest for harmony and wholeness within the self, the family, and the tribe. The Wellbriety path does not compete with AA or other pathways of personal recovery, but instead enriches those pathways by embracing them within the web of Native American tribal histories and cultures. And if you watch the earlier presentation that I put up on the YouTube channel, it gives, I think, a more thorough explanation of what it was that I took down to Las Cruces, and it goes over kind of like what the Wellbriety program is all about. It's a 12-step recovery program. So,
Right, and it is open to everyone. You don't have to be native to come. You can be any culture,
yep.
any background, anything that you are. Everyone is welcome.
Yeah, and it's growing, and that's one of the things that I miss about having it on Zoom was that ability to connect with people from all across the country. And we've had people zoom in from Oklahoma, from California, and it's just something great that it continues to grow. And a lot of people that find it, they find that they find their healing in that group. That's where it started for me, and it played a big part in my recovery as well. So
And the focus is on wellness, so you don't even have to have an addiction
Yeah.
to benefit from a lot of these healing techniques and ideas and concepts.
Yeah, it's holistic in training, and that's why it talks about the emotional, the physical, the spiritual, and the mental. Those four aspects of life that most holistic practices look to put into balance in order for an individual to be able to live a peaceful life, without
Right.
any kind of turmoil in it. And for me, it plays a big part in my life. And we also go over the Native American code of ethics. And, some of these code of ethics, there's 20 of them. It says, rise with the sun to pray, pray alone, pray often. The Great Spirit will listen if only you speak. Two, be tolerant of those who are lost on their path. Ignorance, conceit, anger, jealousy, and greed stem from a lost soul. Pray that they find guidance. Three, search for yourself by yourself. Do not allow others to make your path for you. It is your road and yours alone. Others may walk with you, but no one can walk it for you. Four, treat guests in your home with much consideration. Serve them the best food, give them the best bed, and treat them with honor and respect. Five, do not take what is not yours, whether from a person, a community, the wilderness, or from a culture. It was not earned or given, it is not yours. Six, respect all things that are placed upon this earth, whether it be people, animal, or plant. Seven, honor other people's thoughts, wishes, and words. Never interrupt another or mock or rudely mimic them. Allow each person the right to personal expression. Eight, never speak of others in a bad way. The negative energy you put out into the universe will multiply when it returns to you. Nine, all persons make mistakes and all mistakes can be forgiven. 10, bad thoughts cause illness of the mind, body, and spirit. Practice optimism. 11, nature is not for us, it is a part of us. The land is part of your worldly family. 12, children are the seeds of our future. Plant love in their hearts and water them with wisdom and life's lessons. When they are grown, give them space to grow. 13, avoid hurting the hearts of others. The poison of your pain will return to you. 14, be truthful at all times. Honesty is the test of one's will within this universe. 15, keep yourself balanced. Your mental self, spiritual self, emotional self, and physical self all need to be strong, pure, and healthy. Work out the body to strengthen the mind. Grow rich in spirit to cure emotional ills. 16, make conscious decisions as to which you will be and you will react. Be responsible for your own actions. 17, respect the privacy and space of others. Do not touch the personal property of others, especially sacred and religious objects. This is forbidden. 18, be true to yourself first. You cannot nurture and help others if you cannot nurture and help yourself. 19, respect others' religious beliefs. Do not force your belief on others. 20, share your good fortunes with others and participate in charity. And, before any, 14 is my favorite. It's the honesty. Honesty is the test of one's will within this universe. Be true to yourself, and you got to be able to live your life in the best way possible. And you can't lie to yourself. Of course, we all know that. But
Right. And if you lie to other people, there's a way, you know, people know. People always know.
yeah, and then you start telling lies, then that's all you're living. You're constantly just trying to remember all the BS you've told anyone, and before you know it, your entire life is just one big lie. So
Right. So yeah, we're going to be putting out that information about when the meetings are, and open it up to anybody, everybody, anybody who wants to come. Um, and again, you know, come ready to be yourself.
yeah, and the format of the meetings is like an open discussion. You can talk about anything you want to talk about, and then we have like an elder's meditation for the day. And normally, most individuals that want to share can talk about what the elder's meditation means to them. And it's at those meetings that I've had some of those mind opening experiences of certain things that, it's just like some days it's like I really don't have much to say, but other days it's just like, wow, it's kind of like those early meetings where I found a big part of myself, and that's how it is.
You you grow, you
Yeah.
evolve, you move the energy and you heal.
Yeah.
And we're excited to be there for that. And we're so excited to have you on this podcast. And look for our others. We have some others out there under Jimer's Rants.
Yeah.
But hopefully, we're going to change the name pretty soon.
Yeah, we're thinking of something more
Something the algorithm can pick up on YouTube.
yeah.
So we'll let you know when that happens. But keep watching for us. We'll be coming around again.
Yeah, and we're back, so stay tuned for more episodes, but I think at this time we've covered a lot, and I'm sorry if today I seem kind of disorganized, or if I always seem disorganized pretty much. I try to just roll off the top of my head, but yeah, so but I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to wish everyone a happy new year out there, and hopefully this year brings us all great things that we're all working for, and
Yeah.
let's continue to do the best we can to help each other, to encourage each other, to not be afraid to ask for help. And I look forward to seeing you all at those meetings if you so wish to attend. It would
Yeah.
make me very, very happy for you guys
And
to.
and we will have coffee and snacks.
Oh, yeah. So it's going to be here at the campus, and it's also going to be on Zoom. And just I'll keep you guys updated on what the situation is. But other than that, I think we're done for the day.
All right. Signing off from NMSU. Never been a better time to get a degree, folks. Come on out.
Yep. And I'm wearing my face program shirt from I think it's Haku Academy.
Yeah.
They came up to the adult education. But you guys have a good day out there, and we'll see you all.
Take care
next
of
time.
yourselves.